What's up, guys? Welcome back to the episode of Heat Soaked. I'm Chris. You guys know KT well. Hey, we're coming back today for a special topic, something near and dear to my heart. But hey, we all know there's moments in every project car build when the excitement kind of disappears, right? We're looking, our car isn't finished, it's not drivable. It's been on jack stands for, a couple of days, and then next thing we know, it's been a couple months. It's been, 6 months. So today we're breaking down the psychological, physical, and the I'll say financial aspects of how to get past that point, or what we'd like to call the project wall. And I think we're going to be having some fun. So dig in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave some comment. First, man, let's talk about what we got going on back here. So I removed the grill.
Yeah. That's the big update for you guys.
It's a massive update. I'm also facing something with the project wall, but at the end of the day, no, everything's been good. Waiting on parts to come in. I'm one of those guys that gets really meticulous with parts. And unfortunately, for everyone else, that means all of my parts come in Tuesday I'll get something.
Mhm.
Next Tuesday I'll get something, and I'm just real slow about picking them because I like my quality. At the end of the day, that's kind of what I'm looking for. So that's why we're not seeing much right now. Timing kit's on its way in, and I'm gonna order all that set here soon.
We're pacing ourselves.
Pacing, right?
Yeah.
Slowly. I have lower ball joints to do because that's the IS300's biggest weakness,
Yeah.
right? I don't want my wheels in my passenger and driver seat just at random one day. So that's where we're going. What's
Yeah.
up, KT? How you been, man?
I'm good. As you know, I picked up a spare engine.
Yes. Cue the clapping.
Golf clap.
Golf clap. Yeah. So you picked up a spare 2JZ.
Yeah, I picked up a spare 2JZ GE engine. So it's a spare engine out of another IS300. And the guy had a really good deal for it. And once again, it was on like a Sunday night at like 10:30 at night. This time, Chris wasn't able to go with me, but I made it out there myself, and I'm here to tell the story. So, but I picked up that engine. It's disassembled right now from the previous owner just because he wanted to inspect it, but it's currently still sitting in the back of my car because the block weighs like 300 or 400 pounds, and I just got an engine stand. So I didn't want to put the engine on my garage floor.
You just got two engine stands. You got one for either side of the engine block in case he needs it.
But that's my big update, really. I got a spare engine. Well, the car itself, the IS, is this close to running again now because the rear suspension is all back together.
Yep, can't wait.
I think I just need to go to the local gas station, fill up a little canister, like 2 gallons of gas, pop it in there, and just start it up for the first time.
Nice, man. Nice. And you did a little short on Instagram reel for it. So guys, go check that out. You'll see all the beautiful bushings this gentleman put underneath his car. So it's gonna be it's gonna ride like a Cadillac, man. I'm telling you at the end of it. But yeah, it's all back together. We're excited for you guys to see the build process on that, and when we finally get to the engine. But I think just getting his car running again after this time frame, so he's facing his own project wall. But it's gonna be a real good time, and I'm really excited for the content that comes from that.
Oh yeah,
man.
for sure. It's been a long time coming, but yeah,
for sure, man, for sure. So let's talk about it, man. Why do car builds stall, right? There's all these different their methods that we kind of face. And I think that for a lot of our guys that are newer working on cars, and even our guys and our viewers that have been, our subscribers that have been, calling me, basically have something that they've always hit that brick wall, man. They hit that wall and they can't get past it. Before we continue on to this, I just want to give a huge shout out to my boy Julian. He's one of our subscribers, reached out to us, and I want to say thanks for the feedback, man. You've been awesome, kind of following up, and we really appreciate the nice notice. I hope everything goes well with your bald head, and you have a good rest of the day.
for sure.
But other than that, man, so I think first let's just get into it, man. So for example, with me here with this one, it hasn't been too much of anything, just waiting on parts. It's just basically time. Time's been flowing by. Work, kids, little things that have been kind of happening through life. So I think we all face these different reliances on what we're facing, this time frame of actual completion on a build. And even for example, my E36, like I got all the way to making it everything that I needed it to be. And then I got up to the floor pan and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to cut this thing out. It's going to be easy. I want to make sure, there's a hole in my floorboard like Flintstone. I'm going to make sure I cut it out, put a nice new floorboard. And that's where the bill ended. So I think let's get into the psych part of it, man. Let's talk about it. What's the number one, man?
Yeah, so it sounded like for you, psychological was a really big one in that particular instance.
Absolutely.
And psychological is a big one for a lot of people because there's multiple barriers within the psychological theme, right?
Absolutely.
So the biggest one, I think, is burnout.
Okay.
It's so easy to be overwhelmed by something, by a project, by a task, that you just feel like, hey man, this is just like too much to take on, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think you're right, man. It's too much to take on. Instead of having this awesome project that you love and enjoy to work on, it becomes actual work.
Yeah.
You're actually putting in almost, 8 hours a night after you put in 8 hours a day on this car, and it turns into this, oh man, I'm spending more time here than I am anywhere else. So,
but we have to remember that, progress is still something,
yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Any amount of progress that you make on a project car, it goes a long way because you have to build the momentum to continue doing bigger and better things.
You're right. Yeah.
So some work is still better than no work at all.
That's true. That's 100%. Listen, I got the grill off, so that's something that needed to be done. But no, in all seriousness, man, you're right. Like burnout, guys, we've all faced it, either personal lives, professional lives. When it becomes not fun to do something that we enjoy to do anymore, just remember, always revert back to one thing, just to do that one thing on the car that week. It's better than nothing, and that'll kind of get you back into that rhythm.
Baby steps, right?
Baby steps.
If it just means you're just gonna clean the windows out of your car, right?
I mean, give it a car wash.
Yeah.
I love when I can the car after like it's got like a nice, decent paint job. Clearly, I don't have that anymore, other than the wife's car. But I think the next thing we're really going to is just like you said, do something one thing at a time. You'll get back into the rhythm. And it's satisfying. You're doing something that you need to achieve, that you wanted to achieve, and that counts. That checks a box. It helps us kind of settle ourselves instead of going through that burnout phase and just not doing anything. Yeah.
Well, related to that, then, so part of the reason why you're burnt out in the first place may be because of indecision, or your favorite term,
analysis paralysis.
Yes. So explain, what does that mean?
So analysis paralysis is basically, okay, I'm a guy who likes my options. As I know what I want. I know exactly what I can tell you everywhere you go. Know my order, right? At the end of the day, when it comes to cars, there's so many options on it. We're talking everything from fluids, hardware. We're talking about head gasket sets, bolts, head bolts, ARP, like we could just keep going down the list. But there's so many options for every part on these cars nowadays. This analysis paralysis will hit us, and we'll just look at the immense amount. Like, for example, if you ever do a build, just a heads up to my new guys doing build sheets. I do an Excel file. I think KT, you do an Excel file as well. And that's something that we really face and organize ourselves so we don't hit this too often. But even with this, as you're looking at this file and you're just going down the list of all these parts, and you actually get to the point where you're choosing which one you're going with, you're doing the research on it, which is the most reliable, what's the most performance, that's the easiest to tune. There's so many options. It stops you from making a decision. It faces that indecision in the build. You're not spending money when you really could be buying something immediately. But, sometimes it's for the better when it comes to those really important parts. We're talking like, head gaskets, head bolts. We're talking, radiators. We're talking fluid, good oil for the engine. Everybody's got their brand that they trust, shout out to Mobile One. Looking for sponsors. I'm just messing, guys. But this indecision will stop you from buying parts. And when you stop buying parts stop coming in. What else are you going to do with a car that needs to, you're going to replace it? I got a power steering leak. Got to order something. Hey, what's the best one? Do I go electric? Do I stay with the belt driven?
How do you personally overcome that then?
Man, that's a good question. I think what I do is in my studies and in what I find, for me especially, Once I'm happy with the results that other people either have achieved through the research, YouTube's been fantastic. Like we have all these forums still, and a lot of good guys in the car group will still communicate like, hey, I bought that. I wouldn't buy it if you're looking for this. I would buy it if you're looking for this. And like if you're looking for that reliability, a lot of guys will go, okay, sometimes that OEM plus instead of that tuner buy, right, is much better. And sometimes we just go OEM because that's the easy item. Other times we go to AutoZone because they got a limited lifetime warranty on lower ball joints. But that's kind of how I go to it. What's the most reliable way I can get it for? And I do care about the price. So anybody that says they don't is not a real car guy. But at the end of the day, it depends on how much you're willing to throw. How I overcome that is just time.
Yeah.
I need that time to process it. I write out all my options and I choose my best one based on what I'm familiar with and what's done best for me in the past. If I recognize a brand and I've used it in the past and it's done well, good. If it hasn't, I'll avoid that and go back to it, right? Like, so it's just kind of the buyer's remorse that we all face, right?
And sometimes you have to realize there's no perfect option out there too.
Correct.
You read the forums and you find out everybody recommends, like an AEM ECU or a Haltech or a Link. There's so many options and they're all great at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you get overwhelmed. You're like, well, there's obviously differences, but at some point you just have to pick one and live with it, right?
That's exactly right.
It's almost like if it doesn't work, well, that's a lesson learned for you for next time.
And that's an opportunity, right? Because you can go to the tuner you're familiar with and be like, hey, in your experience as a tuner, what have you worked with? What do you like the most? What gives you the most options? What can I make sure that I put in here if I'm looking for this type of build? Like it's getting more information and filtering that out to get that result. That's the most effective way to really do it.
But that really brings us to kind of like our next point is the perfectionism aspect of it.
This is something I think you actually face the most on. So I'm a type of person where I find it, I get it done. I'll come back to it at another point in time. I know I will. It'll be on the build sheet. But at the end of the day, I know some people, and you're one of them, my man, that has to make sure everything is absolutely perfect before you move on to the next one.
And that goes to not only doing the work, but even when we're talking about like buying parts too, right?
Absolutely.
So if it's like, do I get that Tane coilover set or a BC set?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like, well, I got to pick one or else I'm never going to get a set at all.
Right? And I'm just going to stick with the stock busted ones.
But perfectionism is a really good one.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we said it before, some progress is better than no progress. So sometimes you just have to dive in, pick something, go with something, try it out. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, well, now check that one off the list, go buy the other one.
Well, walk me through it for me, man, because I'm more of a get it done, get out, especially except for when it comes to certain items on the car. If it comes to anything on the head, anything on the block, anything transmission, it's take your time, do it, but do the job but the best way you can the first time, and then come back. You always want to do it the best way once, never have to come back unless you absolutely have to. So when it comes to perfectionism, I say you're slated with this curse, but in reality, what causes you just to make sure that everything is perfect before you're done?
So part of it is personality. Of course, everybody's a little different personality wise, but for me personally, it's just that when I'm going through and working on things, I want to make sure that I'm doing it right the first time around.
Yeah.
Right. So that includes if I'm installing something, I don't want to take it off again.
Fair. Yeah.
So it takes time to research, all right, what's the proper order of operation to do this? Like, what's the proper torque sequence? What's the proper, this and that, right? But then there's the other aspect where perfectionism in the sense that I want everything to look clean and nice.
Wait, so you don't just tighten things till it loosens? Like,
or if I know I'm gonna put a wrench on a bolt head that I just spray painted black, I better make sure this wrench doesn't scrape the paint off of it. That's a little OCD, right? But it is perfectionism. Yeah. And I'm not at the level where it prevents me from doing stuff, but I'm at the level where it slows me down from doing things.
Yeah, I mean, you could have been back on the road, but I mean, you reached a point in your build where you were like, you know what? since I'm down here.
Yes. Since I already took the fuel tank out, I'm gonna paint it anyways now. Right? But
Correct.
that whole level of perfectionism, it slows the whole process down, and sometimes it stalls the entire process. And that's kind of what we're talking about. We want to prevent that from happening for you guys out there. We don't want you to stop your project or completely stall your project out, but it's okay to kind of have to reevaluate, take a step back. That 1 day project ends up turning into maybe 2 days or a week, but don't allow it to turn into 2 months, a year, or never done at all.
Well, I mean, it's true. Like you just said, something done to the best of your ability is sometimes done better than perfect. Sometimes we face that, right? And that's just the options we give. So I think, I mean, another thing we face, right? We just talked about psychological factors is basically like physical factors. I think we cover this in a couple of episodes. Is like the experience level of different people as we kind of go about it is always going to come back to, lack of training experience. And a big one is lack of tools. Like what's going to make you stop you from hitting the wall? Oh, I got to go get a puller set, which means I got to go and I got to rent one, which means they're going to take some money out of my card. Sometimes, hey, I got bills that week, well, I'm just going to wait till the next couple of weeks and we're going to keep going.
I'm going to wait for it to go on sale.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of buying a puller set, I almost got you one, by the way. So I'm going to get the puller set, I'm going to rent it. That's what stops you. So it kind of goes back and forth, and we'll get further into that. But tools, number one, we talked about, hey, get you something that can be easy. And here's something we all face as guys that work on cars is space. Hey, we're in a single car garage. KT's got a double car garage. And at the end of the day, he still faces space problems.
But I think that's what kind of goes back to the idea of community and friends and other guys and girls in the hobby, right?
You're right.
Because you also have resources available to you, whether it's additional knowledge, additional tools you can borrow, additional space you can use.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like that leads back into that car community phase. I can't tell you how many times I've asked for assistance in a job. Like I needed another set of hands to help me get this, transmission off because I've busted my face one too many times and I want to make sure I don't do it again. So it's like at the end of the day, that lack of tools, like a space, is something you can overcome if you get into the community. If it's just you, it's time, right? It runs back into that. But I mean, let's face it, like lack of tools, lack of space can be overcome by purchasing tools. Either you move or you find a way to do it. I'll tell you something about car guys. If you're watching this and you're just getting into it, we always find a way to get the job done. If you have ever been broken down on the side of the road, and I would say you say any city in the world, and you've pulled it off, you didn't think it was going to happen. Your torque converter is broken to pieces and you figure it out and you just keep making sure you get home at least. At the end of the day, you just got to do it. I mean, sometimes you can't make it home. We've all faced those times. Sometimes, your bolts fly off, your belts fly off a mile back and you got to walk a mile back to find it. I've done it. And then you got to put it back on at 2:00 in the morning in downtown Tampa. So it's at the end of the day, like these are little things that we face, but I would tell you, overcoming an obstacle like that, we find a way to make it happen. That's what I love about this.
It's a hard one to overcome, but there's like some tangible examples of that is if you're lacking tools, right? Maybe a yard sale. Facebook Marketplace.
Absolutely.
Ways to find cheap tools. Right?
That's a good point.
That's one. Like if you're lacking space, this one's a really challenging one, but there's ways to get creative. Right?
Absolutely.
If you live in an apartment complex and you're not allowed to work on your car in your apartment, well, maybe you can drive to a Walmart parking lot and work on it there. Might not be the best, but hey, it's better than what you got.
Absolutely, man. I'll tell you, Dollar General parking lots at what time? It was like 11 o'clock at night. Nobody there. You can do an oil change. You can do whatever you got to do. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. We always find a way, and that's what I love. But I mean, then it comes to this other physical moment. Let's say we're doing something. We're finally able to mod this damn thing. I got to refresh these coilovers, right? I buy them, and guess what? Head gasket blows, right? It's happened. It's happened to previous cars of mine. I'm sure it's happened to you. You got to stop spending the money. This is leading to that next topic where it's just unexpected repairs, right? where there's something that breaks mechanically when you're trying to do a little bit of modding on it. And that's when it comes back to the point where, hey, we got to stop what we're doing, keep those beautiful coilovers in that box over there. And now I got to repair the head gasket on this thing, get the head machine, look at the block, make sure it's good, and take the time to make sure it's just fixed
And
up.
anybody who works on an old car or a rusted car
Yes,
knows
absolutely.
that when you take bolts off, they don't necessarily have the ability to go back on either.
Absolutely. And sometimes my favorite thing is they grow legs and they walk away. Don't ask me how I know this. I know this. We've all experienced the one that got away.
But it turns a 10-minute job to sometimes into a 10-hour job or a 10-day job because you have to order a special bolt
Absolutely.
from Toyota and have to wait a week for it to show up.
I think I told the story. I had a little Civic for the wife a while back, and I was doing a valve cover job. I think we told that, and one of the valve cover bolts tightened down until it was loosening. And so I had, going through that process, had to drill it out. Then I had to go to the junkyard. The car's not driving. Now I got to take my other car to the junkyard to, go get another valve cover bolt and finally get one, bring it back, and we're good to go. And it's those unexpected things that happen that separate that time from I could have used that time to work on the E36. Maybe I could have had that floor pan done.
And you can't plan for that. It's exactly as it is, unexpected. You're not going to have an extra engine laying around because your engine blew up, right?
Exactly.
And same extra bolts laying around. Maybe some people have extra bolts laying around. But, the whole premise of this episode is like, we're not going to let this stop us altogether, right? It's a little road bump in the whole grand scheme of the journey.
Yeah, and I think that's the point, right? Just understand, if you're ever working on cars, you are going to face these unexpected repairs. You are going to face these, broken, missing bolts. You're going to have these times where you're like, dude, I am just done with this thing. I can't anymore. It's about taking that step back from the situation and just going, all right, listen, you fell in love with this thing for a reason. You bought it. You bought into the dream, the romance of what we do, sweating in 100-degree heat in Florida, deciding I'm going to change oil in the sun and getting a tan on my shins. Little things like that is what you wanted from the beginning. So it's important to remember that. And I get it. Sometimes we just want to quit, man. But I think what I really appreciate about the car culture is that we find a way to make it happen every time, man.
Yeah.
It's just about passing those barriers, and that's such a good feeling when we go back to that thing. We finally get it out. It's like winning the Olympics. It's like your team won the Super Bowl, all in one feeling. And there's no good description for it. And I think that's something we'll talk about in a future episode, is that feeling, that winning feeling. And we're talking about physical things and talk a little bit about life, lessons in here. But
before you get to life, my best piece of advice before we close out on that topic is just be very organized and take your time when you're working on things, because you can't plan for the unexpected. But knowing that bolts could break, things could roll away from you, get lost. Be organized. Be careful when you're taking things off. Don't cross thread that when you put it back on, right? So just it's almost like taking a slower pace at it rather than rushing it, because if you rush it, or if you go into it without planning, organizing yourself, you can make your problem way worse than what it is.
And that's what we talked about in our video when we kind of brought up those 10 things, right? Is how easy it is to be organized to prevent all of this.
Yes.
Instead of rushing into it, to try and get it done, But being organized you're right. That's such a great point. And I think that would help you guys to avoid this, this wall that we're hitting. But I think we're all facing one thing just to get, moving along, is basically the fact is we all have lives. We all have separate lives. We all have families. We all have jobs. We all have things. We got to pay the bills. I mean, I don't know about you. I got a job to pay the bills. We all got to eat, as you can tell. But at the end of the day, life sometimes just gets in the way. So emergencies happen. Medical things happen. A lot of life is a roller coaster in general, on top of a project car. And, you could be facing something really hard right now, and you could be facing something that I think some of the best advice I ever received was you never know what somebody's going through. And
Yep.
that's super relatable, man, because at the end of the day, like we could be going through different things, and that's what could stop a bill. It's finding your way back to that. Sometimes, man, I've been under a car and it's helped me through a lot. It's helped me through a lot of really deep, really important things in my life, and learning about the car and how to work on it has been something for me that's been super important because it's really, like I said, it's gotten me through those hard times, those dark times, and really kind of gone through that. I think
Mm.
I mean, what has it done anything like that for you in
Well,
life?
yeah.
In
Well, I
life?
mean, for me, just life in general with a car, and obviously, like you said, it family,
Yeah,
work, all that stuff.
yeah,
One of the biggest strategies that I try to employ just to keep things straight for myself is just carving out time to
yeah,
do things,
yeah.
specific time to do things. So we all work, right? So we have a schedule. We have to get up at, 7 a.m., drive our car to work, come
Hmm.
back home by 5 or 6, right? It's routine. So
Lucky
why not
getting
why
to
not
work at
making your
7.
car a routine, right? Why not make it on
Yeah,
your schedule?
you're
Like
right.
I'm gonna work on my car every Saturday
Yeah,
from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
yeah.
Why not do that? Just make it a routine. And I know it's easier said than done,
It
but
is.
that's
It is.
that's one way to try to plan part of your life, because of course the unexpected comes up. You have a birthday party you got to go to.
Yeah,
You can't
everything.
plan for that. But if you at least book some time out, if something else comes up that's not as important, you can be like, well, nope, sorry, I can't. I already booked out this day.
Yeah,
My car's more important to you.
yeah. Sometimes, okay, that's another good point. It's about those boundaries. Sometimes it's going, hey, I'd love to go hang out or go golfing and stuff like that in those morning golf times and get home by like 1. But sometimes I just want to wrench, man,
Yeah.
and finding that time. I'll tell you, wrenching under a car is it's priceless. That time that you have that you complete that project, it's insane what happens and goes through our minds when we actually get that thing start to finish. And I think we could talk about life. We could probably talk about life the rest of this podcast, but let's go ahead and cut it right there, you guys. We all understand what the reality is here, and I think the next big thing we really want to get to is going to be, like, I think the reality once again of the world is financial. So, I mean, let's talk about financial issues, man. Let's talk about what's your favorite term and the first thing we're talking
The
about here.
term I use at work all the
Go
time.
go for it.
Scope creep.
Scope creep. So, give me the definition of scope creep here.
So the definition is when you have a certain objective, a certain scope, right?
Okay.
But now it starts becoming larger than what your
Hmm.
initial objective was. Your scope is creeping larger, right?
Gotcha.
So the perfect example of that is like, hey, I am going to only do one thing, right? I'm
Gotcha.
only going to change my oil. Well, while I change my oil, I also realize, hey, I need to change my power steering fluid. I need to do this. I need to do that. Next thing you know, you're down this rabbit hole when you only wanted to spend 30 minminutes doing something, and now
Yes,
you're spending
yes.
30 days doing
Yeah.
like 30 different things.
It's the just watching the parts list continue to grow. Got to change my transmission, turn this thing into a 5-speed. Guess what? Got to buy a flywheel. Got to buy a clutch plate. I
Yep.
got to buy. There's it's watching that grow. It could get out of hand really fast too, because depending on how, once again, as we kind of go back, much of a perfectionist you are, or how you're going, and how indecisive you are facing it, that time could just start increasing.
Oh
So it's
yeah.
just about getting something there. But that scope creep is super dangerous. I think that leads us to the next one, is all of those hidden costs. We talk about scope creep increasing the workload because of the parts that we need, including, yeah, I'm just going to change my transmission. There's a couple other things you got to do with that. Like, unless you're considering that beforehand, you got to really understand what comes with that scope, right? But those hidden costs are what sneak up on you,
Yep.
right? Okay, hey, I need double check my rear main seal. Like
Mhm.
that. Oh man, I got to make sure that's on the parts list, when I do this transmission. Because guess what? I'm not going back.
And you may have
If it leaks,
captured
it leaks, man. I'm just saying.
you may have captured some of it in your initial scope,
Yeah,
but it's easy to overlook certain things, right? And it's
absolutely.
easy to find other problems once you get into your main
Yeah.
root of the problem, right? So you were using the example of doing a transmission swap. So you're going to need
Yep.
a clutch pedal, you're going to need a gear shifter,
Yeah.
you're going to
Gear
need
shifter,
all those things. You don't
belt.
need just the
Yeah. I
transmission,
need the
right?
correct belt
But
housing.
I am sure once we get into it, there's also going to be other things that you realize you also need,
Yeah.
and we're going to be stalled because we have to order
drive shaft,
Yeah.
LSD. Yeah.
we have to order certain gaskets
Oh,
from
yeah.
Toyota.
Oh,
We have
for
to order special bolts because you thought you can just find it at Ace Hardware, but apparently not. That's kind of part of the hidden cost
Yeah,
and scope
that's true.
side of things, right?
You're 100% on that, man. And you're right. That's kind of what leads into that. These two, I think, go together really well. These scope and these hidden costs, because everything leads to another. When we talk about hidden costs, like you just said, we talk about gaskets, talking about fluids, we're talking about hardware, we're talking about specialty tools. Once again, we bring up tools. This is really important when you're working on cars. And I'm not being funny. I'm being serious, because sometimes you just need a torque wrench, and it needs to be a lot bigger than the one you have. So, I mean, little things like that. And I think, man, as we kind of come to a close with this, what is the final one that you face when we get to these financial points, man?
Yeah, when your priorities change in general.
Yeah.
So priorities in life change, or even the goal of your build changes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Those are two insanely just awesome points
And
about
they
like,
kind of lead down the financial side of things too, right?
for
So
sure.
a really good example is if your goals in your build change. So
Yeah.
if you were just trying to rebuild this car to have it be like a street ready car,
Yeah.
and halfway through your build you realize I want to turn this into a drag strip monster. Well,
Yeah.
that's going to involve a lot different parts than what you were initially planning for.
For
So
sure.
now you're going to be spending a lot more money on top of just the time that you have to either redo or add on to your initial plan.
I mean, yeah, that's 100% right, man. I think it's these little things that we face, and as the priorities change in life, we're really our direction in life can change, right? Like dependent. But I think let's talk about, and keep it with cars, direction of builds. You had a great point when you're talking about setting up a street car, right? Sometimes you, even with your car, wanted to set it up at OEM plus, right? But sometimes that next step is just a little couple bucks more,
Yeah.
right? But how many more hours does it take you to do? It's that sweaty, that equity that we talk about, right? It's that investment, that time, that work that we kind of go through to kind of make sure that we're going through it, man. And getting it completed is part of that process. No matter how the build changes, it's understanding that if you change here, exactly what's going to happen with this motion, and making sure we're really focusing on those priorities itself.
Yeah.
Hey, if I change this, is that going to really mess up everything that we're facing on that end? Is it really going to change the entire rear end setup that I just completed? Is it, if I, change the motor that I'm really looking at doing, or change the horsepower output, am I going to have to focus on a new drive shaft, LSD?
And it might change all of that. It
Yeah.
might add a ton more money, but the whole point is, again, don't let that prevent you from making progress.
Absolutely.
Right? That's the biggest thing in this hobby, because you're gonna run into all of those things we just said: psychological, physical, financial. It's gonna hit you, and multiple. There's a good chance multiple are gonna hit you at the same time. You're gonna get hit with all three at once, right?
Well, such is life, man. I think that's the excitement of owning something that you put a personality into, right? That you really crave and create. It's us, right? Like no matter what happens to this vehicle, it's going to be something that reflects.
And that's a really good point, because at the end of the day, think about what it is at the end of the day. That's your end goal.
Yeah,
we joke about how it's never going to be done, but it still can be like 95% done.
I'll take 95%.
Right? So that's still better than 5%.
I mean, hey, listen, 5% still more progress than I've seen on some builds.
5% is more than 0%.
Listen,
right?
At the beginning, I asked you guys, hey, those projects that you bought that are still up on stilts, still in the garage, just taking space. You put on FB Marketplace, nothing's been done. And guess what? Something stopped you from building that. What stopped you? Like that's something you can talk about on your own, or like talk to yourself in the mirror. But at the end of the day, something stopped you. Find a way past that wall. Find a way past that project wall. Stop stalling. As we talk about stalling, but it's a real conundrum that we're talking about that. But at the end of the day, project stall is real. Project walls are real. Find a way around them. You guys got this. The car community is fantastic. hook up with friends, make sure you guys can help each other out. And I think that's the most important thing that we reached at the end of this, man.
Yeah. And to wrap up the financial side of things, I guess, do you have any advice when you're dealing with all these scope creep items, hitting costs? How do you handle that financial side of things?
Man, just never over. Man, I think a really good point. And don't ever finance, like, and I say finance because we could like dig into this really bad. Never finance a build, right? If you finance something fully just to get it done and you're paying monthly payments on, you have a monthly payment per month, you understand that will affect the financial, that life side, what you can afford. And sometimes that car still breaks.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think you're saying don't overextend yourself.
Don't overextend yourself. Exactly.
Maybe have a little extra cash in the bank just in case, just knowing that you're probably going to break something along the way. So if you're really stretching yourself out cash wise, maybe you do have to take a little bit of pause, save up a couple extra bucks, knowing that you're probably going to break something or run into something along the way.
I think the understanding for that is also like, hey, listen, if you're, maybe eating ramen cups only like per night because you're spending too much on the car, maybe hold back a little bit. The money will come, the project will finish. It might not be in the time frame you want, but guess what? Taking care of yourself at the end of the day, I think, is a lot more important. But at the end of the day, it's a project. You go about it your own way. I've seen guys go about it their own way, and we just let it happen.
We are not financial advisors. We are not psychologists, and we are not personal trainers.
Clearly. I mean, that's just obviously. No, we're two car guys in a garage, man. At the end of the day, this is just some things that we face sometimes as we're building these topics and we're talking to each other. We're like, man, and we tell stories that we're probably going to start bringing up a little more so you guys can see a little more personal side of us. These stories really are something that we face, especially like breaking down the side of the road, how losing a belt, walking a mile back. Little things like that are little glimpses into our lives and something that we could have faced in the past. But I think going back and wrapping up that financial for you is just saying, don't overextend. But like you said, when you're working on the car, stay organized. All right. Stay on top of your stuff, understand what you're getting into. And I think you'll have a better, clearer picture. And that's all I got, man. You got anything else for the viewers today?
No, we're good. So if you guys like the content, please like and subscribe. HEATSOAKED FL.
Yep.
We welcome feedback. We love feedback.
Yeah, for sure. Send it our way. We'll have fun. I think as a closeout, we'll start doing something fun, something funny. But hey, guys, stay cool, stay wrenching. We'll see you in the garage. See ya.
Peace.
Later.